Vijana Bala Bhagiri Vadadadi Vijana Bala Bhagiri Vadadadi Vijana Bala Sodanandana Brajajanarandana Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Adi Gopi Jana Balabha Giri Pradhari Gopi Jana Balabha Giri Pradhari Gopi Jana Balabha Giri Pradhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Dhiravana Chadi Yamuna Dhiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Harivatakara Saraswati Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gaura Premanandi ki 10-6-8. Yes? Yes? No? Maybe? Ten six 43. 10-6-43. 10-6. It's right here. Maybe it's 11. 6:43. Okay. 11:6:43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayat. So this is the Yadu dynasty retires to Prabhas, title of chapter. The verse begins in Sanskrit. Naham tavangri kamalam janardham api keshava jaktum samustahe nata swadhamanaya mam api naham tavangri kamalam Shanardham api kesava jaktum samutsahe kanata swadhama naya mam api. Translation: Oh Lord Keshava, my dear master, I cannot tolerate giving up your lotus feet for even a fraction of a moment. I urge you to take me along with you to your own abode. Purport: Uddhava understood that Lord Krishna was going to withdraw the Yadu dynasty, and thus he begged the Lord to take him along to the Lord's abode. He had no desire to merge into Krishna's impersonal effulgence. Instead, he wanted to go to the Lord's spiritual abode and continue associating with Krishna as his dearmost friend. Krishna is the personality of Godhead who and can do whatever he likes. But the devotee begs the Lord for the chance to serve him. Although the Lord manifests within the material world in his various abodes, such as Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura, and although these are certainly non-different from the counterparts in the spiritual world, the most advanced devotees, overwhelmed with desire to personally serve the Lord, are very eager to go to the Lord's original spiritual planet, as stated by Lord Kapila in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The pure devotees have no desire for liberation. Because of their eagerness to render service, they urge the Lord to appear before them. The 6 Goswamis, due to their intense eagerness to serve Radha and Krishna, urgently searched after them, calling out their names in the forests of Vrindavan. Similarly, Uddhava is urging the Lord to take him to his own abode, so that Uddhava's personal service to the Lord's lotus feet will not be interrupted even for a moment. Paragraph. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that immature conditioned souls think that Lord Krishna is an ordinary jiva soul engaged in material activities and was thus able to protect his own dynasty from the curse of the Brahmanas. Unable. Uddhava's statement corrects such unfortunate person. It is Lord Krishna himself who awarded pious living entities birth in Brahminical families, and then Lord Krishna further awarded them the potency to curse his dynasty. And finally, Lord Krishna personally kept the curse intact, although he was capable of neutralizing it. Therefore, in the beginning, middle, and end, directly and indirectly, in the past, present, and future, Lord Krishna is the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is completely transcendental to even the slightest touch of material illusion or impotence. My understanding of why this verse was selected, Jai Sachinanda selected the verse, it's to augment or lead into our evening topics, the 24 gurus, because there's a whole big stretch of dialogue between Uddhava and Krishna. The scene is in Dwarka. The relationship between Uddhava and Krishna is very thick, very intense. They like Arjuna, they're cousins in the same royal family. So as Arjuna is cousins, so the rest of the Pandavas are cousins, and for that matter, the Kauravas are cousins, because in the same royal family, and family tree is very intricate. I get confused personally looking at those family trees, but cousins. But the affinity for Krishna is not because of blood relation or family relation, but loving service, as with Arjuna. So similarly, one could say even more intensely with Uddhava, more intensely with Uddhava, because Uddhava was with him constantly. It's not that constant association means stronger affection, but very strong affection, very strong affection. So much so that Uddhava understood even before Krishna said it, or he was just thinking it. And there's verses where Krishna is considering departure. That his departure was based upon some conversation with Lord Brahma, who confidentially paid a visit and said, "Thank you very much. You fulfilled your obligation. You came as we requested to relieve the burden of the earth of the demoniac kings. Mission accomplished. If you so desire, you may now return to your own abode." It's like he's not instructing him, but you are bound by a request, and now the request is fulfilled. You may do as you wish. But, he pointed in the direction of returning to the spiritual realm. Now, the spiritual realm from which Krishna descended, at least as far as Brahma may be concerned, from Svetadweep, Mahavishnu, or excuse me, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, residing in that location, or Kshirodakshay Vishnu residing at that location, in the Milk Ocean. So Vishnu appeared as an avatar of Vishnu, but he's the original personality of Godhead, as described in Canto 1, Chapter 3. Krishna is the original source of Vishnu, and he appeared as an avatar of Vishnu. So you may return to your own abode if you so desire. Mission accomplished. So it's not like Krishna needed release from that commitment that he had previously made, but it's just a pastime. Anything involving Krishna is by his will. And so Krishna is contemplating, but he hasn't said anything yet. But now he's going to explain to Uddhava, yes, you're right. I do plan. And my request is that don't stay around. Anyway, there's a number of things that happened. Krishna gave Uddhava some service. Krishna he's entitled to not take him with him and to give him some service. That the service was to go to the ashram of Narayan Rishi in Badrik Ashram, go there. As my representative, you represent me, you give my association as my representative. Thank you very much. And, it wasn't discretionary, it was an instruction. And so, much against Uddhava's desire, he put Krishna's desire in the foreground, and so he made his journey to Badrik Ashram. And on the way, he happened to meet Vidura. And he and Vidura in third canto have this nice dialogue, extended dialogue. But back to this section, chapter 6, Krishna indicates what his service is going to be. And Krishna understands the emotions or the spiritual sentiment of Uddhava. So Krishna gives instructions how in physical separation, which Uddhava is not accustomed to, how he can remain Krishna conscious. And to answer or to instruct him how to be Krishna conscious, Krishna decides to narrate the story of the 24 gurus. The story of the 24 gurus is, we'll see this evening, the context. But King Yadu, a previous ancestor, had the occasion to come across a Brahmana who was a very elevated soul. And immediately, Yadu could understand his exceptional quality. So he asked the Brahmana some questions. And one of those questions is, how did you become so realized like this? And the instruction of the Avaduta Brahmana to King Yadu, that's the 24 Gurus topic, and it's narrated by Krishna to Uddhava in this section of the Bhagavatam, so that Uddhava will be able to keep his mind fixed because he's not just, a student, but he's a pure devotee, Uddhava. So the message will go in, and he'll be able to, by Krishna's mercy, understand a very, in one sense, a very puzzling description of what the Avadhuta Brahmana learned about and the status of God realization. So it's an interesting section. Now I'm speaking about what we're going to be speaking about the next 3 days. The 24 Gurus topic is something like understanding transcendence through nature. So there are different forces of nature, and there are different entities within material nature. And if one is fortunate enough, like the Avadhuta Brahmana, he can learn about the Supreme Person who is behind everything through nature, through animals and fish and trees and this and that and the sun, the elements, and he can understand the Supreme Person who is behind everything. So the Avadhuta Brahmana is a pretty exceptional Brahmana and a Vaishnava. And because of his status, Krishna narrates the whole story so that Uddhava can remain Krishna conscious in his absence. I'm not going to take, it doesn't say I'm not taking you with me. Instead, he says, I have some service for you, which means I'm not taking you with me. And it's okay. It's not more than okay. It's love and separation with some service while that separation is going on. It's more than okay. It's a loving exchange. And Uddhava, doesn't feel like it's punishment, but it is painful. But love and separation can be painful, especially when the love is not just, a nomenclature, but it's, he's at the stage of, like the stages of bhakti, he's at the stage of prema. So before prema comes bhava, and before bhava comes attachment. He's attached spiritually, not materially, spiritually attached, and then bhava, and then prema, and he's the pure devotee in the stage of prema. There's no explanation of, after hearing of the 24 gurus story that Krishna narrated to him, what happened. It's not because these kinds of teachings don't necessarily have a story. There's not necessarily a backstory and a forward story. What happens after he heard this explanation from Krishna? One can assume that he felt a Krishna connection because of what Krishna had said, because of that pure devotion to Krishna. And Krishna says a number of other things. Please inform the residents of Dwarka to vacate. Now there was a reason. There was an external and there's an internal reason. The external reason was along with my departure, Dwarka is also going to disappear, going to sink back into the ocean. It's no longer going to be an island. It's going to be in the ocean. So all the residences and everything's going to be underwater. So please convey the message. Everyone should vacate. But it was a second reason was that it was so as they vacate, there's a plan where Krishna would withdraw the eternal associates from the prakat stage to the aprakat stage, and Krishna would allow those expansions or bhava expansions of the demigods to return back to their demigod realm because they had come to assist, as was the arrangement with Lord Brahma. Please instruct the demigods that they can take birth on earth first and they can assist me in my pastimes of annihilating the demons. And so they, the demigods, had a chance to, at least their expansion, bhava expansion, be able to associate with Krishna. And then there was the returning back to their demigod position. So it's like, it's very involved. But, the big picture is everything comes from the source of everything. Say it the other way. Anything that exists has a source. And that source is the source is Krishna. And the movements of the material energy and the marginal energy move according to the sanction of the source. So there isn't something that's disconnected from the source. There's a relationship of all things with the source. And then, so there's these two main realms in the marginal living entities moving between the external and the internal energies. And the spiritual is the internal energy moving, and the external is the external energy moving by Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. And therefore, Uddhava, learn how this Brahmana, the Avaduta Brahmana, maintained, because he explained it all to King Yadu, how he attained and maintained his transcendental position. And because he was in a transcendental position, therefore this term Avaduta, like, who understands this person? He doesn't behave normally. He behaves like he's absolutely detached. He behaves like a madman, an Avaduta madman. But no convention, no standard behaviors. He just did what he did. One more comment, then I'm going to end. There's more than one section in the Bhagavatam where transcendence is pointed to by scenes of nature. In Srila Prabhupada's early days, even before he came from India to America or to the West, he wrote a book. It was in response to a request or an invitation to attend a conference in Japan. And Prabhupada had a sense that people in the Far East, they like understanding things through scenes of nature. So he wrote a book about the scenes of nature in the autumn and summer season. And it became a book, just, the scenes of nature. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar. These different entities that are within material nature, they're gurus for the Avaduta Brahman. And, because there's so many, 24, you go through them, and in the end, it's, the personality of Godhead emerges very clearly from the whole description. And one at a time is less clear than 24 times. It's really clear. He, the Avaduta Brahman, was in a transcendental position, having learned about the source of everything from everything, or from entities manifest in the material world. The 24 gurus. None of them are, qualified brahmanas that had heard the Shastra and they became realized souls. It just, there's one of the sections is a pigeon. The whole big thing about the pigeon and what he learned from the pigeon. Learned about the absolute truth, the source of everything from the pigeon. Now, most people don't learn about the absolute truth because they have a different orientation. The orientation of most people is enjoy, sense gratification. And because of that spirit of enjoy, sense gratification, or the Maya spirit, it blocks the vision of transcendence. Or say it the other way, for the vision of transcendence to emerge, then the sense gratification propensity has to diminish and ultimately disappear. And thus, there's teachings, abundant teachings in the Vedas about sense control in different ways and practices and procedures and, schools that encourage sense control. But sense control isn't it. Sense control is an assist to become qualified to receive transcendental sound. So for most of us, the principal guru is one who vibrates transcendental sound. And one has received that transcendental sound in disciplic succession. There's no indication that this particular Brahmana had a guru who he heard all this from. So it's an exception. And the rule is the rule. That is, in disciplic succession, one hears the sound vibration from a qualified source that has received from that source and received from that source and received from that source. The transcendental source. He's an exception, this Brahmana, and it was surprising to King Yadu. And in case I'm ending, in case Vidura, in case Uddhava doesn't have the association of a self-realized soul coming through that disciplic succession method, he'll have the opportunity through hearing from Krishna about the Avadhuta Brahmana to feel the presence of Krishna always everywhere. Because he's so qualified is something that's certainly possible. But the certainly possible is by attachment, and then by attachment one can feel the presence of the object unto which one is attached. And there's the added sound vibration coming from Krishna, so that one can say that's a medium for him Uddhava, to remain attached, not feel absence, not have the emotion, transcendental emotion of feelings of separation pacified. And that's what happens to Uddhava later or earlier rather in the third canto, when Vidura is seeing Uddhava in Vrindavan forest. Uddhava, oh, nice to see you. Wasn't, what are you doing here? It was, seeing you, I think of Krishna. Tell me about Krishna. Tell me about Balaram. Tell me about everybody in Dwarka, naming names. And when he finishes this long list of, please tell me about Krishna, Uddhava goes into a trance. He can't speak because he's in trance. And he's just absorbed, profoundly absorbed in thought of Krishna. But because he wants to be responsive to Uncle Vidura, respecting him, he struggles and struggles and comes to external consciousness and starts speaking about Krishna in very wonderful ways. Like, how does, like the saying, how much do I love you? Let me count the ways. And he starts counting the ways of his love for Krishna. And it starts with, this is Canto 3, it starts with appreciating the merciful nature of Krishna. Who can be as merciful as Krishna? And he gives examples. The Putana example is the first one. She came to kill him. Vicious mentality. And what did Krishna do? Krishna gave him a place of an assistant to Mother Yasoda in the spiritual world. Thank you very much, Putana. Here's your reward. Anyway, so absorption, he in that sense, Uddhava, was also like the Avadhuta Brahmana, less mad. So absorbed in feelings of love and separation from Krishna that he just, once he pushed his Krishna button, he kept going on and 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 on. Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna outside of Vrindavan, narrating the pastimes of Krishna. It's very nice. A preamble to 10th canto from a qualified person, from a pure devotee. So it's very purifying, even in the third canto, hearing from a pure devotee, Uddhava. So that's the verse for this evening. The prior arrangements to the 24 Guru lessons. It's a nice topic. So Hare Krishna. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna. You mentioned transcendence through nature, one phrase in this lecture. Does it mean looking at the nature and trying to have like more deeper insights and spiritual insights about life? Is that what?
It's not necessarily trying to, but having lessons revealed. So that, it's the descending as opposed to ascending. That's all I'm saying in response to your question. Someone who has affinity for transcendence can see things that are of the world and within them have transcendence revealed. So that's what our topic is in the evening, the next 3 classes.
I feel I can learn good qualities, but I think it's one deeper level to have transcendental revelations. I can see good qualities, but the second thing seems difficult in the first attempt.
Yeah, that's bhakti. Bhakti isn't ascending, it's descending. Something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you. I felt like this is a curtain riser for the upcoming the
That's
24
the idea.
books. And another great personality, Uddhav. So the relation between Krishna and Uddhav is Sakhya.
The relation, yes, you're saying?
Sakhya Ras. Between Krishna and Uddhava.
Yeah, they're friends, but he also mixed with service.
Yeah. So I'm just doing a compare and contrast between Uddhav and Arjuna. So in Bhagavad Gita 2.7, that's the moment Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, Karpanya Dosha. So is there any specific moment or instance where Uddhav turned from Sakhya to Dasya or the service mode?
I've explored this a little bit, not extensively, to see what our acharyas have to say on the rasa. But you're not just asking rasa, you're asking a transition point. And I don't know if there's a transition point. So he, Uddhava, in one sense, he as Arjuna, they're eternal associates. Arjuna was playing the part, by Krishna's arrangement, of one who was in Maya, rebellious against Krishna's plan, or not taking in Krishna's plan as his plan. So there was a transition point. But I'm not aware of anything comparable in Uddhava's case, where it was not Krishna conscious and then he became Krishna conscious, or he switched the off to the on position. I now take shelter of you. That's his position, intimate position. It was restored when Krishna returned to Mathura and dealt with Kamsa, etc., etc. But then right away, Uddhava was already there, and Uddhava became his. It just resumed his position, or assumed his position, but it wasn't like a off and on description that I'm aware of anyway. It just was natural for him.
Thanks, Maharaj. And especially this, the translation says, right, even he can't live for a moment, please take me to your abode. That was...
Well, that's attachment. Attachment is a subset of bhava and prema. It's given. It's already there. It's not like there was a time when he wasn't attached. And Arjun not being attached, it's a lila. Krishna covered him so that Krishna could speak Bhagavad Gita to his dear devotee. So he covered him. Okay?
I have a comment
A comment.
and also a question as well. Comment being, I at least this is what it seems to me like. Sometimes I see a parallel between Uddhava's mood and Arjuna's mood, but not as in Bhagavad Gita, but as in Canto 1, Chapter 15, after the departure of Krishna, Arjuna coming back to Hastinapur, the mood being of the same love and separation and continuing to want to keep serving, and that attachment shows. That's sort of the comment, and want to understand if that is a good, correct understanding.
So your comment is now a question.
I also have a separate question.
Huh?
I also have a separate question.
In cases like this one, in cases with Uddhava, there's an eternal relationship. And there's a past time where that eternal relation comes to the foreground, but it's not like the eternal relationship wasn't there, then it's not an eternal relationship. But so it's there. And Uddhava is one person where it's there. So there's a past time where it becomes more acute, more pronounced, more prominent. But it's just awakening of a flower that's in the the blossoming season or something like that. It's already there. Does that answer your question? Okay.
The other question I had is, you drew a comparison of Light of Bhagavat, where learning from nature, Canto 10, Chapter 20.
Okay.
But as I recall from your By Light of Bhagavat series, apart from lessons from nature, it's also about Vrindavan, Dham.
Yeah.
Is that component present?
Is that what?
Is that component present here in Canto 11? Or is it's just lessons from?
That's my understanding. There may be some subtle interweaving. It's not my understanding. Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Separation feeling from Sri Uddhava ultimately leads to the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is
Yeah.
such a sweet gift from Sri Krishna to all of us. That was such a nice outcome of that request from Sri Uddhava for him to stay and not leave, and then Krishna presents the Srimad Bhagavatam to us.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, a principle that you're speaking a pastime, and behind the pastime there's a principle. And Krishna reveals himself through the medium of his loving devotees. And, at least the unlimited is unlimited, but to some degree, the unlimited becomes revealed through his loving devotees. So you can take there's many dimensions to the Bhagavatam. It's one of the masterpieces of the Bhagavatam, and one layer or one feature is the intense feelings of his devotee wanting Krishna's association. Please don't leave. And so, the narration comes as a result, and it's just one of the layers, like the peels of an onion, or something like that, using a metaphor. Anything else? No? Okay. We'll end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.